Happy Self Love Sunday. I hope you're all having a great day, and if you're not, I hope your day gets better. I am reporting live from social isolation, day I don't know what. Um, most of us are socially isolating, which can be very difficult. I'm speaking from personal experience. You know, normal day to day life is very busy. We have tons to do. Most of us have like kids and families and work and friendships, and we're always on the go and we're always really busy. But with this whole social isolation, COVID-19 thing, you really don't, we really don't have much to do but stay home and be with ourselves. And that seems like a really easy concept, but I know for me, being with myself, feeling my emotions, being feeling uncomfortable emotions and having to sit with them is very hard. I tend to be one of those people who want to feel good all the time and I don't want to feel anything negative. And so I can use outside sources to kind of numb myself, whether that be shopping, working out, surrounding myself with a lot of people, always finding something that needs to be done. And through this whole social isolation, I've had an opportunity, and I think most of us have had an opportunity to kind of just like self reflect and sit with ourselves. And in the process of doing that, a topic came to mind today, and that is, I feel like through this whole COVID-19 situation, I'm caring less what people think of me. And I don't really know why. I think it's kind of like the idea of like, oh, it's the end of the world, like, who cares kind of a thing. And I don't think it's the end of the world, but just the whole idea of like, I'm caring less what other people think about me. And it's something that I want to carry on with myself after this whole situation. There's a lot of aspects of this social isolation that I want to carry on, but that's a big one. My self love journey, like I said before, has started within the last 2 years, and I feel like it's where I've kind of started to look inward. And this whole being stuck in our houses and not really have anywhere to go is kind of forcing a lot of us to kind of look inward and self evaluate, which I think can be a good thing. And so one of the topics that I was thinking about today was something that I learned in one of my in my psychology class, and that was the superego. And I remember learning about it and really like stuck out and resonated with me. And so I'm gonna read something since it's a new subject to me, but I did definitely wanted to still share it. So the superego develops during the first 5 years of life in response to parental punishment and approval. This development occurs as a result of the child's internalization of his parents' moral standards, a process greatly aided by a tendency to identify with the parents. The developing superego absorbs the traditions of the family and the surrounding society and serves to control aggressive or other socially unacceptable impulses. Violation of the superego standards results in feelings of guilt or anxiety and a need to atone for one's actions. The superego continues to develop into young adulthood as a person encounters other admired role models and copes with the rules and regulations of the larger society. And so when I was thinking about this today, one of the questions that came to mind was, why is it so hard to be ourselves? And that's like a very heavy question. And I'm going to speak from an area of self-love and self-healing, and for individuals who have experienced trauma and emotional abuse and have grown up in homes that aren't emotionally safe, this is really hard to do. And one of the biggest reasons I believe that it's hard to do is because, you know, we've all heard of the whole black sheep component, and how sometimes one child will be loved and adored, and then the one who is considered the black sheep doesn't experience life that way. And it's a deep subject. And when we grow up, we look to our parents and the people around us to kind of they kind of become God to us. And individuals who have experienced trauma and are just trying to survive, we learn really early on, like, what we need to do to be okay, and to cause as little negative attention to ourselves as possible. And through the process of doing this, it can prevent and hinder us from becoming authentically ourselves. When a child is trying to survive and doesn't want to make parents angry or upset, they're going to become whoever the parent wants them to be. And if they don't, then they're going to have a really hard life. So for me personally, like, growing up, I learned really early on that, like, to be who other people wanted me to be. And I carried that on into adulthood and into adolescence. I remember growing up in high school, I had so many different groups of friends. I hung out with, like, popular people. I also hung out with, like, goth people, drama people, and I could thrive in all of those groups because I learned as a child how to be how to fit in, kind of thing. And so if you do this long enough, which I did, you become an adult, and you don't even know who you are. You're like, what do I like? What do I don't like? What are my views on subjects? And I feel like this social isolation is a perfect opportunity to kind of dive into that and find your voice, figure out who you are. So I feel like a really good exercise to do this, which I have found helpful, is you can either do it through inner dialogue, or get out a piece of paper and a journal and take this opportunity to kind of, like, ask yourself, who am I? What are my values? What do I like? What do I don't like? And this is private, so in your journal, you can say whatever you want to say, and nobody's going to judge you, kind of a thing. And I just want to commend all the people who have experienced trauma and who are, going out there and being their authentic self, because it is very hard. When Taylor Swift, I kind of talked about this, but she had a really good documentary, or I thought it was a good documentary, about how she always felt like she needed to be the good girl, and she just carried that on through her entire life, and how now she's barely starting to find her voice and kind of speak up regardless of what people think about her. And I'll tell you this, the more that you speak your personal truth, the more you're gonna see how people may not like you. The beauty of being your authentic self is you're going to actually find people who really love and accept you for who you are, but you're also going to experience people who don't like you, don't like your views, think you're wrong, have an opinion. And for individuals who spent their whole life trying to avoid that negative attention, it's really hard to have people not like you, or to say, like, that's stupid, or to feel judged. And I think, this is a perfect opportunity for inner healing, because, growing up, and if you experience trauma as a child, you're doing what you need to survive. You don't have anybody to protect you and to to tell you that it's okay to be who you are. And um, most of us who have experienced that, in order not to experience abuse, we need to kind of lie to ourselves and lie to be okay. But part of this whole self love thing is, healing that inner child and being the protector that you may have needed growing up. And so, I encourage you to kind of start digging deep and to really question your personal ideas. Um, really start to like grow into your truth and who you are, and you can be that person that protects you. The more that you speak your truth, the more you're going to feel comfortable with not everybody agreeing with you, and not everybody commending you for your ideas and how you look at life, and if this is a perfect opportunity to heal. You can be that person that when you have a triggering event, like you speak your truth, you be your authentic self, and somebody has something negative to say about it, you can be that person for yourself. You can say to yourself, it's okay, like, I love you, I think your idea is great, I accept you. And the more that you do that, the more you're going to be able to be who you really want to be. Because the freedom that you get from being your authentic self is like something that I cannot even describe. I'm barely starting to touch the surface of that, but it's so exhausting, and it's like a personal prison. You might be okay, you might get less negative attention during the day being who everybody wants you to be, but a little bit of you dies inside when you abandon yourself and you deny your true feelings just to get through everyday life. So I was a little all over the place with this segment, but I definitely think that it's an important thing that we can do during this self-isolation, is kind of, dig deep into ourselves and kind of question, like, am I being my authentic self? Do I even know who my authentic self is? Like, these are really great questions that we can kind of ask ourselves when we're going through this time of social isolation. So that's it for me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day.